Okay, so we had some breaking news come out tonight, and that is that the Buffalo Bills are reportedly signing pass rusher Joey Bosa to a 1 year, $12.6 million contract, and that was first reported by Adam Schefter. When I first saw that report, I was in shock because I did not have Bosa on my radar, and I know a lot of other Bills fans didn't have him on their radars either. And I actually tweeted a list this morning of all the top remaining defensive line free agents who I thought could be targets for the Bills, and I'll admit, I didn't even put Bosa on there. I just figured he was looking for way too much money and it would be out of Buffalo's price range, especially considering his injury history. And then I saw that it was between San Francisco and Miami who would sign the 29-year-old. And I just figured that it was a foregone conclusion that he would try to sign with his brother. And then oddly enough, after the news broke tonight, there was a rumor at least, that San Francisco released defensive end Leonard Floyd to make room for Joey so that they could sign him to play alongside Nick. But then at the last second, Brandon Beane of the Bills swooped in there, offered him more money, and now we have a done deal. Now, it's important to note that these deals won't become official until Wednesday at 4 p.m. once the new league year begins. But if that is, in fact, how it all went down, that is a wild sequence of events. But all that to say, I really like this signing. This is a 1 year prove-it deal that didn't break the bank for the Bills. We will wait and see what the official contract details are. But when Bosa is healthy, he is really, really good. Now, that being said, as I just alluded to, the biggest question with Joey Bosa is his health/availability. And we know how the Bills will often say how the best ability is availability. So in his 9 seasons in the NFL, Bosa has played 12 or less games in 5 of those seasons. He's only played 2 full seasons while he missed 1 game in 2021. So this is your stereotypical high-risk, high-reward type of signing. Brandon Beane knew that he had to address his pass rush, and he took a swing. So basically, this is one of those deals where we're going to get to the end of the year, and we're going to say, man, he really hit a home run. That was a great deal because Joey Bosa stayed healthy, he was productive, he had double-digit sacks, and he was a force to be reckoned with. Or you could look at that and say, you know what? He did it again. He overpaid for an aging defensive lineman, and this is similar to the Von Miller situation. And once again, he didn't get the formula correct. Now, speaking of Von Miller, this is essentially his replacement. Joey Bosa replaces Von Miller on the depth chart because the Bills released Von a few days ago. They open up $8.4 million in cap space. Now, after I get done with these numbers here, you might look at that and say, well, why didn't you just try to rework Von's deal, try to get him to take a pay cut, because then they could have saved $11 million and maybe you would have been just getting the same production. Because in 2024, Bosa played 14 games and he registered 34 pressures and had 5 sacks. Now, these according to PFF. Von, on the other hand, played 13 games, and he registered 32 pressures and had 6 sacks. So I know those seem very dead even, but I'm going to go back to what I just said, and I think this is Brandon Beane trying to hit a home run here and say, you know what, I'm going to bank on the fact that he is 6 years younger. And what I just said earlier, when he is healthy, he is really, really good. So that being said, let's take a look at some of Joey's stats. I'm going to pull up his box score stats on Pro Football Reference, and we'll just give a generic overview and try to provide some further context on what we can expect from the 3rd overall pick of the 2016 draft. So as you can see here, the first thing that sticks out to me are those missed games. So as I mentioned, he's played 2 full seasons, and those came in 2017 and 2019. And then 2021, that was the first year that the NFL switched over to the 17-game schedule. So he did miss 1 game there, but he was relatively healthy. But then you look at some of those other seasons. 2018, he only played 7 games. 2022, he only played 5 games. 2023, he only played 9. He did rebound with 14 games in 2024. But those are a lot of missed games here for someone who's not even 30 years old yet. But you look at his sack totals, and he's registered double-digit sacks 4 seasons, and those were all when he was relatively healthy. So when he was a rookie in 2016, he was the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. He registered 10.5 sacks and had 41 tackles. He followed that up in 2017 with 12.5 sacks, and that was when he earned his first Pro Bowl nod. And then you go down to 2019, he was a Pro Bowler again with 11.5 sacks. 2021, he had 10.5 sacks, and then there was that drop-off because he was missing those games. So all in all, he has 72 career sacks and 343 combined tackles, and he's only played in 107 games. So we'll see what Sean McDermott and Bobby Babbage can get out of him. Now, the other defensive player, the defensive chess piece that Buffalo signed, Michael Hoyt, I see him as essentially as Juwan Smoot's replacement because he has that inside-outside flexibility. So as of right now, the Bills' defensive end room is pretty solidified. When you take a look at the depth chart, and is going to be Greg Rousseau and Joey Bosa, and then you have AJ Epinesa and Michael Hoyt, and then you still have Javon Solomon as that fifth defensive end. I'm thinking they're most likely going to draft one, if not two. So now the next position of need here, specifically on the defensive line, is addressing the interior. So I will pull up my list now, and we'll go over some of these because I believe most, if not all, of these guys are still available. So we can take a look at some of these top remaining free agents. So there are still some solid players out there, both from the edge and from the interior. But specifically, if you're looking for the Bills here, Calais Campbell, I know he's older, but he's still productive. Jeremiah Ledbetter, Jerry Tillery, Greg Gaines, and Darrick Noddy could all be names to watch for as we move forward here. But that being said, I think the Bills still have some work to do with their defensive backs as well. And I'm going to go to corner here because I think that is the next position, aside from defensive tackle. But quarterback, there is a glaring hole at CB2. And if they want to go to the Los Angeles well again, then maybe the next man up is Asante Samuel Jr. because he fits that mold that we've been talking about on the Going Deep Buffalo podcast. 25 years old, coming off of his first contract, looking for his second contract. And actually, he's coming off of an injury, so the Bills might be able to get him at a cheaper rate. But I think this is a guy who has a lot of untapped potential, and you could say the same thing with Josh Palmer. You could say the same thing with Michael Hoyt. So look for Asante Samuel Jr. to potentially be the next former SoFi Stadium player to be in a Buffalo Bills uniform, because this is the fourth year in a row that the Bills have signed a free agent that played in SoFi Stadium. So 2022, they started things off with Von Miller. Then in 2023, they signed Taylor Rapp and David Edwards. 2024, they signed Will Clapp and Austin Johnson. And now this year, as I just mentioned, Josh Palmer, Michael Hoyt, and Joey Bosa. So we will see what Brandon Beane's next moves are. And a reminder to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for all the latest Bills news and rumors as we move forward here throughout free agency and then with the draft.